Hello, my friends. It is that time of year again, and I am back in one of my favorite places on earth. This is the Capital City Arcade in New Westminster, British Columbia. Thank you to the Capital City Arcade people for letting me come here and talk to you guys about one of my favorite subjects, the best games of the year. We've got holiday buyer's guides. Today we're talking about Nintendo Switch games. I'm in front of a bunch of classic Nintendo arcade machines because we're talking about the best Switch titles for the gamers in your life. We're going to start with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is a very recent addition to the library for Nintendo Switch. I absolutely adored this game when I reviewed it, but I've been thinking a lot about how much this game kind of celebrates the holidays in a way, because you can play this with friends and family members. It's beautiful as a single-player experience, but you can play couch co-op with your pals. You can also get online with friends and family as well, and it's gorgeous, and it celebrates the history of Mario with its 2D roots, but also brings a whole bunch of great new additions to the gameplay, not the least of which is being able to turn your favorite Mario characters into elephants. Wonderful game. Top of my list there for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Also at the very top of my list is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I didn't quite know what to expect with this game as it was approaching, because Breath of the Wild has been my favorite video game of all time since it was released in 2017. And although Tears of the Kingdom isn't really a game that has that out-of-nowhere surprise that Breath of the Wild delivered back then, it is a surprising game because of its breadth and its scope and its wonderful details. Now, this is a solitary experience, and it's also an incredibly lengthy one, and there are so many secrets and so much beautiful lore to explore and examine and uncover and enjoy. You may lose your beloved family member or friend for many, many weeks when you give them this. But I'll tell you what, they're gonna love this experience and they will be overjoyed. If they don't already have Tears of the Kingdom, this is an incredible gift. A game that I think is getting overlooked a little bit is Pikmin IV for Nintendo Switch. Now, clearly, this is part 4 of a successful series, and in fact, you can pick up all 3 of the previous Pikmin games for Nintendo Switch as well. But Pikmin IV is very special. You have this cool kind of alien dog pal that can do lots of great things with your little Pikmin characters and help you along your journey. There are lots of other astronauts to find and rescue, and lots of interesting bosses to fight and cool items to collect, lots of little secrets and surprises to discover along the way. Fully engaging gameplay. I think this is the tightest and the easiest to onboard anybody that has never played Pikmin before. It's very, very accessible, and it's incredibly fun. I loved playing Pikmin 4, and chances are pretty good that this one might not be in somebody's collection, so take a look at this one. Next on my list is Octopath Traveler 2 from Square Enix. Now, I do think that you should play Octopath Traveler 1 before you jump into Octopath Traveler 2, and chances are if somebody loved Octopath Traveler 1, they might have already picked this one up. But if they didn't, know that this is every bit as good, if not better, than the first Octopath Traveler game. This is about a bunch of different characters with disparate storylines that all interweave in very interesting ways. It's another one of these Square Enix HD 2D experiences with beautiful visuals, great storytelling, lots of interesting twists and turns, and just this compelling kind of hook to just see what's around the next corner and to see what this character's up to, and then to bounce over to this other story. I was absolutely floored by the creativity of Octopath Traveler 2. It's a wonderful game, and maybe the play is to find both Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 and gift that to somebody that you really care about. They will be very lucky. Next up on my list is Fire Emblem Engage, which came out much earlier this year. This is part of the vaunted Fire Emblem franchise, but what's great about this game is that it has direct connections to previous Fire Emblem experiences, so there's a lot of nostalgic pull for any longtime fans of this franchise like myself. And I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of all of the stories, but that's what's interesting about these games, is that they get really deep with character relationships and stories, and you really start to care about each of these different team members that you bring into your party before you go into these turn-based battles, and you don't want to lose them. And over the years, Fire Emblem has become a lot more robust in terms of its storytelling, but also a lot more accessible in giving you ways so that you won't lose all these characters that you've been building up and buffing up and taking into battle with you. And it's a gorgeous game too. Seriously, some of the most beautiful storytelling elements that I've seen in any Nintendo Switch game. This took my breath away at the beginning of the year, and if your friend or family member loves turn-based strategy games or loves RPGs, I think they're going to love Fire Emblem Engage. Another terrific turn-based strategy experience is Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, which is a remaking of Advance Wars 1 and 2 from the Game Boy Advance days, all with 3D visuals and kind of a brand new cartoony aesthetic. Truthfully, I prefer the pixelated aesthetic of the classic Advance Wars games, but there have been some pretty cool quality of life elements added to this reboot, and it's incredibly addictive. And just like the Fire Emblem kind of hooks, you also start to care about the characters and really get sucked into the story. But it is that really tight, really accessible, really addictive gameplay that keeps you coming back for more. So I don't know if I would add this to a pile if you're already going to get them Fire Emblem Engage. I don't know if I'd also give them Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, but if your friend or family member isn't so much into the fantasy RPG type stuff, they might prefer this game. Either way though, between Fire Emblem or Advance Wars, you're getting some of the best in the strategy genre that you can find. Now, arguably my favorite Switch game of 2023 is Metroid Prime Remastered. I gave this game a 10 out of 10 when it came out. It was so incredible to revisit this classic from more than 20 years ago. Nintendo and its partners did such an incredible job modernizing this GameCube masterpiece. It plays beautifully on Nintendo Switch. All of the interesting little secrets and mysteries that you have to uncover, and the characters that you encounter, and the creatures that you have to face and survive against. It's so fun to get lost and to explore in this. Retro Studios did an amazing job taking the 2D Metroid and turning it into a 3D experience. And man, it is just phenomenal that we get to play a modern version of Metroid Prime on this platform. And this is absolutely one that you're going to want to find a physical cartridge for and gift that to somebody. Love this freaking game. Now, another terrific pickup for the Square Enix fans in your life is Theatrhythm Final Bar Line. This is a music experience that's tied to all kinds of awesome Square Enix RPGs, particularly Final Fantasy games. Really cool kind of paper puppet style visuals, staggeringly beautiful music as well, obviously, that you are playing through as you experience key moments from some of these classic RPGs. Square Enix has added all kinds of new content for the game as well, so it's not just what you get when you first pick this up. This is just a spellbinding collection of moments from all of these great games, and it's very unique in the landscape of 2023 titles, and it's a fantastic pickup for Nintendo Switch. Now, I've got a couple of smaller games for my last two to focus on my list here. Dave the Diver is one of them. This is such an original idea. The concept of being this diver who is just sort of hustling for jobs and then gets into this relationship with the sushi restaurant, and you start finding fish that can be served to customers. And so you've got this two-edged kind of experience where you're diving, trying to survive the perils of the deep, and then you're taking your catch and bringing it into the restaurant and serving it up to people and making happy customers and reading their social media feeds. And then you start to uncover that there's a lot more going on here. There's a lot more beneath the surface, literally and figuratively, with this game. It is a wonderful experience and a perfect fit on Nintendo Switch. Another perfect fit on the Switch is Sea of Stars. This harkens back to the glory days of Square-styled RPGs for the Super Nintendo system. It's made by a Quebec-based studio named Sabotage, who also made The Messenger, another awesome pixelated adventure that they made a few years back. And it's actually tied to that world, but it's so lovingly crafted. The visuals are absolutely gorgeous. All of these different environments that you get into and the relationships with the different characters that you meet along the way, really, really enjoyable. Lots of fantastic visual effects in this game, and the music is breathtaking as well. I couldn't put Sea of Stars down. I love the story, I love the gameplay, I love the look of the experience. Sea of Stars is spectacular, especially if you have somebody in your family or friends list that has been playing video games for a long time and really adores that whole Super Nintendo era. This is a perfect game to get for them. Now, I often get asked about 3 great game ideas for kids, and 3 of the 10 that I just talked about actually qualify as perfect games for kids. One of them is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's an E-rated game. It's just filled with lots of beautiful, cartoony, enjoyment and goofiness. It's very silly and very fun. Kids are going to love that. I also think kids are going to love exploring the world of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's incredibly complicated in terms of its options and the amount of material that the game developers have put into the title, but the freeform kind of create your own adventure qualities of the experience are going to be really fun for any younger players in your life, especially if they're fans of titles like Minecraft. And I also think that Pikmin IV is going to be a lot of fun for younger players as well. There's a lot of making it up as you go and using all the tools at your disposal. There is some complexity in the menu navigation and in all of the options that you have as a player, and you are sort of using all of these different Pikmin characters in different ways, but I think kids are going to really enjoy diving deep into the story, and the whole darn game is just so adorable. I think it's a perfect pickup for kids. And finally, I say this almost every year when I'm talking about great gift ideas for different console owners out there, but every one of the platforms has subscription services that end up becoming a terrific deal. On the Nintendo Switch, there's the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack subscription service. And what you get with that is a bunch of different games, hundreds of games across classic consoles, like the Game Boy Advance, the Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, and of course the NES and the Super Nintendo. And so you've got hundreds of games to play from the 8 and 16-bit and 64-bit eras. So there's lots of value there, but Nintendo also adds lots of other value, like the downloadable content for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as well as Animal Crossing, and recently they provided F-Zero 99, which is an amazing 100-person racing experience as part of the subscription plan. And so I think that the cost for this subscription is absolutely made up by all of the value that you get. You've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of gaming fun in there. And I think if you're going to gift somebody a subscription, Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack is a great idea. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for my Nintendo Switch thoughts. Let me know if you've got some other ones in the comments down below. I'm going to come back with thoughts for PlayStation 5 players out there and Xbox Series S and X players, as well as PC players. And I've got some hardware thoughts as well. So make sure you're watching all of the holiday buyer's guides, and I'll be back soon. Until then, play forever.